Hey cats, it's Ed, 6 minutes 51 seconds per mile Bud here. Today I'm going to give you a tour of my current running shoe rotation as per February 2022. Welcome to the channel. I always appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please help us out by clicking that subscribe button and also hitting the bell below for notifications when we roll out those new videos for you. Help the channel to grow too by giving this video a thumbs up like and also sharing it with your running buddies. Some shoes just hit the spot, don't they? You take them out of the box and they work straight away. Excellent training options are what we're after, those shoes that can pretty much cover all the bases. Today I'm going to give you a rundown of my current running shoe rotation. What have I been utilising over the last couple of months? Now we're at February 2022. So for those easier sessions up to 3 or 4 miles, maybe between about 5 to 7 kilometers, it's got to be the ASICS NOVABLAST 2. I just love these in terms of the amount of cushion they have and that underfoot forgiving feel. I tend to run those sessions a couple of times each week, maybe about 8 minutes 15 per mile, so that's about 5 minutes 8 seconds per kilometer. And the NOVABLAST 2 just fits that usage for me like a glove. This model's never been one of those sort of high-performing, high-paced shoes for me. Even the first model, really, I just enjoyed running daily miles in it. A great one for those easy sessions, and sometimes it just gives you enough push to get you out the door. I think this second version of the shoe's slightly different. Maybe the drop's different, or they fooled around with the formula. Flight Foam Blast does seem to be a little bit different this second time around. I think they refined the upper enough here. It just makes it a better shoe in the second version. So for those easy sessions that I normally do a couple of times a week, gotta be the NOVABLAST 2. Now there's 2 shoes in my rotation right now that I utilise for those aerobic efforts. Those 2 shoes are the STREAKFLY from Nike and the TAKUMI Sen 8 from ADIDAS. Typically for me that's something around about 7 minutes 30 per mile or a bit above, so I think it's about 4 minutes 40 per kilometre pace. I tend to keep these sessions around about 6 or 7 miles. That's just about the sweet spot for me, and just remember I do have to work and stuff as well, and have a family, friends, kids, all that type of stuff. I'd love to go out running, you know, for 2 or 3 hours a day. It would be amazing, wouldn't it? But we live lives. Imagine that's what most of you guys are doing out there. You've got like maybe an hour or a couple hours to spare of a day, and that's pretty much what you can do. I tend to use these 2 shoes at steady paces, or I mix it up a little bit with some half mile or full mile half marathon target pace repeats. They're normally about 6 minutes 50 seconds per mile, so that's about 4 minutes 15 per kilometre. These 2 shoes are my go-to for those types of sessions over the last couple of months. I have to say I've never had such an insanely forgiving and cushioned selection of shoes to utilise. Just for those tempo paces, these 2 are absolute magic. The STREAKFLY is easily one of the most fun and engaging running shoes I've ever owned. It's just so light and nimble on foot, it just makes you want to use it all the time. That ZOOMX in the midsole really does limit the amount of fatigue that your legs take on. I think if you're after something a touch more rigid, then you can always pull out the TAKUMI Sen 8 with those energy rods. Just provides a little bit more snap on toe off. I am loving having these lightweight options right now. They're a little bit of a lower stack. It just makes running those threshold pace miles a joy, a pleasure. Well, sort of. I do think it does help that both of these shoes have got some fantastic grip underfoot. That's been really useful over the last couple of weeks where the weather's been pretty shocking here in the UK. And they're just really satisfying even at some lower paces as well. I remember in the past there's quite a few shoes I tried out that were fantastic in terms of high speed, but when you sort of pulled back the pace and took your foot off the accelerator, they just felt odd and really strange underfoot. These 2 perhaps are as accommodating as an inn on a cold winter's night. Perhaps now shoes are a little bit less about distance and more about the amount of cushion you need over distance, because they all kind of use the same foams these days but just a little bit more or less of it. Does that make sense? For the long runs recently, I've been trying out a variety of different shoes, but one pair has particularly come up trumps in terms of just how enjoyable it is to use. The ADIDAS ADIZERO PRIMEX is that shoe. Simply put, it's the beast for the long runs. It's just so smooth, cushioned, and exciting to run in. It's hard to select anything else right now. I mean, I'm even tempted just to run easy 3 or 4 mile efforts in it too. I found that 8 minutes per mile pace, which is about 5 minutes per kilometre, is an absolute winner over some longer distances. I think I took it up to about 14 miles at one point. I just could have carried on further and further. I think it was only the lure of some food that actually drew me back to the house. I've never seen such a low heart rate as well over that type of distance on that sort of run. I think this shoe's got some very special features and attributes about it, and Adidas know it. The use of technology within the midsole here really is quite innovative, plus the fact you've got that upper too. I think it's a bit of a blueprint to what we're going to see in running shoes in the next few years. Though I have to be honest, I do strongly agree with the stack height rules here. Obviously as amateur non-elite runners we can wear pretty much whatever shoes we want, but for championships this one's banned, isn't it? I can see why. It does significantly lower the perceived effort over a run. The data's there, you know, I'm looking at heart rates across my runs and it's significantly lower when I use this shoe. So you can see why a lot of companies are aiming to have more and more foam underfoot rather than actually putting all the emphasis on this carbon plate. I think it is down a little bit to the amount of foam. You do need a mid to 4 foot landing to get the absolute best out of the PRIMEX though. If you overpronate at all, please avoid this shoe because you're just going to injure yourself. The only other shoe that's lowered perceived effort as much as the PRIMEX for me is the ALPHAFLY. Very similar fatigue lessening properties in that shoe. Is it down to the foam? Is it down to the upper construction? Or is it both things put together? Either way, to think that I almost missed out on picking up this shoe, it's now turning into one of my favourites over the last few years. Are fatigue lessening properties though what you actually want from a long run shoe? I know a lot of people like to perhaps use a more firm or perhaps more plush shoe for the long runs. Is it actually lowering the amount of effort you need so much that you're not really getting all you want out of a long run? Certainly if you want to do some speedier reps or some intervals and some different parts perhaps for your long run, the PRIMEX can certainly handle it. I took it out for a 7-mile session today and threw in some mile reps at my half marathon target pace, and it just ate them up like a hungry lion. So those are the 4 shoes really taking the brunt of all of my training so far in 2022. There is one other shoe that ASICS have sent me, but I'm not allowed to talk about that yet. There's one of these embargoes there and I can't mention anything about the shoe other than the fact I really like it. It's fantastic. It does pull together a load of different ASICS kind of tech and it just works a treat. I have placed up a few runs on Strava using the unbranded mystery shoe category, and that's where I've been using this shoe, so hopefully I can tell you a bit more about it very soon. The Ultra Boost 22 and also the ADISTAR from ADIDAS have also seen some use over 2022. I do need to get a longer, slower run in the ADISTAR so that I can really sort of pull it apart. I'm aiming to do that for you this weekend. The last 5 or 6 days have seen some horrendous weather here in the UK, and it's made any sort of sustained pace really difficult. The wind's been crazy. I was going to do a longer run last Sunday, but that just didn't happen. I just mentally wasn't there. I took a day off. Sometimes you've got to do that for yourself. So that's the rotation right now as of February 2022. A mixture of sort of lower stack high cushion shoes and some higher stack high cushion shoes. Where do we draw the line these days? I'm not entirely sure. It's certainly quite a difference if we look back to 2020 when I was running in some React and some Power Run Plus shoes. What's your current cushioned crop? What are your outsole options within your running shoe rotation? Furnish myself and the viewers with the information down in the comments. A quick musical interlude for you. I've been listening to the fantastic album from Brian Setzer, which was released back in August of last year. It's called Gotta Have the Rumble. If you like your rock and roll, nitro fueled, with the growl of the Gretsch guitar, then Brian Setzer is the one for you. A lot of rockabilly sort of stuff tends to be a little bit weak in production, but this isn't. It's certainly got some muscle to it. I really love the tom drum intro on Smash Up on Highway 1. It's got some real attitude, that track. I really love the bass sound. Some fantastic guitar playing from Brian Setzer as per usual. What else would you expect? Stack My Money is also quite a humorous tongue-in-cheek track. I really love the whole story there. He's explaining that he's got all these sort of dead-end jobs and how's he ever going to stack his money up and do something with it. He's just doing all this sort of dead-end stuff. Rockabilly Riot again has a bit of attitude and a bit of bite. I think I remember him playing that track perhaps when I saw him a few years ago. Possibly. It's certainly direct and to the point, this album. I think it's only about 38 minutes long, but that's what you need. It's all about rock and roll. No prog rock rubbish here. It's just solos and gritty guitar playing. It's exactly what you want. Go and check it out, guys. Brian Setzer's Gotta Have the Rumble. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of today's video. It is always appreciated. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications when we roll out those new videos for you. You can also help us out in terms of the YouTube algorithm. Give this video a thumbs up, like, but also share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you